So moving on to our second segment, and the Panthers have their season finale against the Saints. Initially I didn't know if this would be a game the Saints would be up for, but they're battling for the number one seed, so they'll likely play their starters this game, and I think Matt Rule sees this as another opportunity game going to be played at 4:25, another opportunity for a team to go against a playoff team that's playing their best, or that will play their best. You know, what do you make of this final matchup? What's going to be important for the Panthers here?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to see Teddy Bridgewater because his best game of the season was against the Saints. Like by far, like it's not close. I mean, I think there was a sack at the end that ended up resulting in a really long Joey Slye field goal attempt, but I actually don't think that particular sack was on Teddy. There have been others. I think actually his season, you could argue, has gone downhill since that game. That his has decreased since that. I mean, he completed over 80% of his passes. He looked great in that game. So I'm really excited to see how he closes out the season. And I think that could actually be a huge factor in how the game goes, how he plays without Christian McCaffrey for a 13th game of the season, most likely. And I also think the other thing to look for in this game is, I mean, this defense, we've seen them improve throughout the season. And I'm just kind of excited to see, like, how they close it out, because this is like, we saw Alvin Kamara score 6 rushing touchdowns last week. And I just think this is good. And this is a Saints team that has a lot, like you said, a lot of incentive to want to win this game, because then they could get a week off, which is huge. Only one NFC team and one AFC team gets that. So I just, this is it's a playoff game for the Saints. So I'm just kind of curious to see how they match up. They matched up with the Saints last time, but it's kind of a different, more's on the line in a way. So I'm just kind of curious to see how they compare.
Yeah, and that was a point. That was going to be my key, was seeing how this defense was going to perform.
Yeah.
Panthers could treat this like a Super Bowl. They didn't do so great on defense against Drew Brees last time. Drew Brees kind of carved them up. They slowed Alvin Kamara up, but Drew Brees kind of did what he wanted. They got that turnover by Brian Burns, which was crucial for them to stay in that game. But just looking at how they've played the last few games, the Lions was a shutout. The Vikings was a great game until that last drive. They played awesome against the Packers in the second half. It was great. First 3.5 quarters against Washington's football team was amazing. Broncos was the only outlier where they had a step back, and I thought, in my opinion, Phil Snow outcoached himself. In trying to, after being criticized for not blitzing against the Vikings, he sent the blitz a lot against the Broncos, and they just screamed them to death.
Rasul Douglas also just had it bad. That was bad.
Rasul Douglas just was not there.
Yeah.
But I think this is if they can continue to build off what they've done in recent weeks, I think that could definitely go a long way. You see Derek Brown improving even in the pass rush, and I think Derek Brown has gotten a lot of criticism, not a lot, but he's gotten some criticism because you haven't really seen the sack numbers. But he is tops among rookies in most pressures. Sometimes those sacks just don't happen. But I think Derek Brown's had quietly a good year. And you can really see this defense building. Jeremy Chin, Derek Brown, Brian Burns. Troy Pride has been okay, for a 4th-round pick. He's and somebody who's been thrust into the role immediately. You can see the future of this Panthers defense. So I think this will be a huge test for them, and one that they can really kind of prove to themselves that they do have something building.
Yeah, that was a knock about Derek Brown coming out of college, was that was a big thing. Like, I remember writing up things on Derek Brown versus Isaiah Simmons and all that. And that was the big thing about Derek Brown, was he doesn't get a ton of sacks and you shouldn't expect him to. But I think the pressures, he's been really improving. And I think, like you just said, he's had a positive rookie season because he's improved, and I think that's what you're looking for. The other rookie I would point out is Yetur Gross-Matos, who like missed like a ton of games for like all sorts of stuff. But like I think he's done well. He hasn't been great. He's not bad. He's like done well, and I think that's someone who they need like next year. He is in place to be the starter opposite Brian Burns, like on the line, and I think him continuing to improve is like huge. Like I think that is going to be really big for 2021. So how he performs in the last game of the season will be interesting to watch too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Yetur, and I definitely want to see him take a step up, next season, because he's another key. Because those other guys are going to be good, and if he could take, and he has that ability. He got a sack last game.
They invested in him, right? Like he was a second-round pick, like a high second-round pick. So
yeah, he was drafted before 10. They thought that much of him. So it'd be key for him to step up. If the defense wants to get to where they want to get to. And they got some other young pieces too. I don't know what they'll do with Dante Jackson next year. I mean, after next year, he has one more year on the rookie contract. Shaq
I thought he played well though. Sorry, we thought he just played well after the toe. Like I think Dante, I've been really impressed. Like I thought he had a great game against Washington, against Green Bay. He had a great game. Like Matt Rule said, he thought it was the best game he's played. And I mean, Devontae Adams like got shut down. Like I just think Dante like. He's had his ups and downs, but I think he deserves credit for how he's played at the end of this season.
Yeah, he received the game ball after the Washington game. So he threw it to him 5 times and 5 incompletions. And I think Dante Jackson, he hasn't seemed to be one that's lacked confidence, but not at all. But you can see him playing with confidence.
I think it's hard to find a corner who. I think as a corner you have to have confidence because you're kind of on that island. You have to have some sort of confidence. And Dante Jackson is not short in confidence. So
and you can see him playing with that. When Washington threw his way, you could kind of see he knew that it was going to be incomplete. So that's good, and that's good for his future with the Panthers if they decide to continue with him. I know they like him for sure. Yeah. And the toe was really hampering him early in the season, and he seems to get that fixed. I don't know why they didn't do that earlier. Why they didn't sit him earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a turf toe, and I think those can be weird, right? Like you can think like I think a lot of times some guys just need rest, and some guys can't play on it at all. And I think credit to Brian Burns deserves recognition for a similar thing, but like credit to Dante for wanting to play through it. Like I think last year we saw Dante like struggle mentally with injuries. And I think this year credit to him for wanting to play through it and to Brian Burns as well. I mean, I thought, Matt Rule almost kind of ruled him out like at the beginning of the week and he willed himself to play. And I think both of those guys deserve credit for wanting to play through those injuries. I mean, there's a whole list of other guys, but those two stand out to me. Yeah,
Brian Burns is an amazing player for sure. And I didn't just the way it sounded from Matt Rule, it didn't sound like he'd be ready. And that injury was kind of it looked like he kind of twisted his knee. I watched it a few times when he was trying to sack Aaron Rodgers. Just still got the sack because Aaron Rodgers kind of tried to avoid him, but he found a way to play. So
I do think one other thing for this weekend's game is just that I think you go into the off season and like you don't want that last game to have a huge impact, and I don't think it will. But I just think it's an opportunity for a few guys like Mike Davis. Like he's a free agent, and I think it'd be smart of the Panthers to bring him back as McCaffrey's backup. I think we've seen that position needs to be invested in, but I just think it's an opportunity for a couple guys to like. And Curtis Samuel's another example of this. Kind of just put like an exclamation, like kind of close the book on the season in a positive way. Because I could also see the game getting really ugly potentially. Like I think there's an opportunity for that. So I think the Panthers keeping it competitive and like some guys stepping up is going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, you don't want to see it get out of hand on the last game. You don't want to go into the offseason on a sour note.
Like last year when Will Greer started, got injured in the second quarter. So you don't want to see that.
Yeah. I mean, and that you want to have some positive momentum heading into the next year. So yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll be watching for a lot of different things. 425 Fox, Panthers vs. Saints.